Man in charge of this match, Kevin Roberts. An overcast day, and the Sydney Cricket Ground centre pitch has taken a lot of water. That would come as a shock, I think, for a lot of people in the west of Sydney. But look at that pitch. It's a quagmire with the completion of the lower grades and extra time required in reserve grade, with Canberra taking out that match. Parramatta winning under 23s as we get going in yet another one of these sudden death shootouts. Neil Hunt in 16 came into the side for Lydiard as the first man tackled. Sterling Taylor. I think this rain that has fallen on the cricket ground has probably seen Balmain firm in the betting. It certainly has brought them into the match with a much better chance in my mind. What about yours, Bill Anderson?
Well, I don't agree with that, Ray. I favoured Parramatta from the start, and I think the wet weather really favours them. They've got a back line that can fire under all conditions. It's a back line where virtually every man has had experience in England, and I don't think the greasy pitch will worry them at all.
There's Benny Elias, who will revel in the conditions. Marquito. Well, everybody's been telling us that Parramatta doesn't pack any power in the forwards. One would think that if the forwards are that bad, then in wet conditions such as these, then Balmain should highlight that deficiency. This is Hardwick. Laurie in 9 around the legs. Peter Ford in 21 over the top. Hunting in from Marker. Here's Sterling. Looked at Growth as if to say, do you want to take it out or will I?
And Eric said, no, thank you.
Doesn't surprise me. There's the big man getting across the ground now. Buffeting run, but not going ahead. At the same token, he's got to be stopped sooner or later, and he did cause some discomfort to a couple of them. Bridge the tackler. Now Sterling. There's that torpedo punt just landing on the fringe of the cricket pitch, and Gary Jack, who made that unforgettable mistake in the opening match of that game at Belmore. Kenny had him around the bootlaces. Ella missed him badly. Mosley came over the top. And Mosley seems to be hurt. I'm not sure whether he's hurt or he's got a mouthful or an eye full of mud. But he's taking an age to get up, the Parramatta hooker. Roach, Makito. Laurie Lowe, sharp up the top. Right on the halfway line. Oh, it's a knock on. And it's a dangerous practice. In conditions such as these, a very dangerous practice.
And they're the sorts of problems that players have under these conditions. Just a little knock on or an easy drop ball, a missed ball from dummy half, or even a line kick that doesn't go out can very often cost you the game under these sorts of conditions. And it's something really that's virtually out of the control of players.
Just have a look at Mosley getting some attention from trainer Graham Richards. I don't know what it is that's wrong with him. Gary Bridge. The two faces. Here's Kenny, and Kenny kicks on the first. Unorthodox tactics, but the ball is rolling down inside the 22. Davidson comes back with it. Wrapped up by Cronin and Kenny. This is Billy Kane. Big day for him in 25. Former Australian schoolboy champion. Roach! Sharp was low. Mosley went up the top. Price decided to take the decoy. Penalty to Balmain. Markers not standing one behind the other. Markers, to the benefit of those who may not know the rules all that well, must stand one behind the other in line with the play the ball until it's cleared the ruck. Gale finding the line 10 metres his side of the halfway. First penalty in the match to the Tigers. Gale, one half of his face black, the other white. The ball bouncing nicely down there, I would think, for Taylor. The defence a good chase. Schofield through quickly with Brooks. Here's Hunt. pulled down by Schofield. The message was for Balmain to tackle anything that moves and tackle it hard in the opening exchanges. They believe strongly that a team that gets up and, well, to use a word that I don't like, but a team that gets up and belts Parramatta in the early part has a much better chance. Here's Cronin. These players are going to become increasingly difficult to recognise as the match wears on. That was good pressure put on Peter Sterling's kick there. And it's Balmain's ball, but the ref has ruled that a knock-on took place. Little disagreement between Elias and Taylor. Sterling to work it. He's found a tunnel, and it's out to Kenny. Bridge has him. He fires the pass out the back door for Cronin. Cronin pulled down by Marquito and Elias, and plays 15 metres into Parramatta's area as they go to the hill stand side of the ground. This is Jerd, Mosley, Sterling, Kenny. Held it back and almost was able to get it inside for Laurie. In the meantime, Ella, there's a penalty to Parramatta, and Steve Ella's not 100%. Just getting up. The experience that this Parramatta team has from playing in the last 4 grand finals, it would be of untold value. Would you agree, Graham Hughes?
Oh, certainly, Ray. I'm not really thinking that Balmain firm in the betting because of these wet conditions. The experience of all these Parramatta guys, we've seen them through big presser matches, should get them home, and look for a big one from Peter Sterling in these sort of conditions.
Kenny around the back for Peter Ford. That'd do him the world of good, getting a touch of the football. Kenny out from dummy half, beats Gale, taken by Hardwick. Schofield over the top. Dummy half forward 21, Sterling 7. There goes the kick off the right foot of Sterling. It's an awful looking bounce for Davidson, but Hunter's there to make the tackle, and a line drop out to restart the action for the Golden Blacks. Precise kick from Sterling, placing it neatly into a very big in goal at the cricket ground, and Hunt, playing his part in the play, made the tackle on Davidson. Peter Sterling. The drop kick from Scott Gale, and already there's an example of how far these conditions has shortened the game up, because that ball landed on the 32-metre line. That's where Taylor's tackled with it. Mosley spins the pass out to Ray Price, and Price decides to take them on. 4 of them, Roach, Brooks, Bridge and Kane making the tackle. It's come left. Oh, beautiful work by Sterling. Cronin looking for an opening, but he decides that, he has now got it out the back for Kenny. Kenny away to Ford. Ford tackle. No, he's not. Ford's going for the corner. Pulled down 15 metres out by Gardner. 4 tackles gone for the Eels. Across to Sterling. Sterling holds it back. Puts it out the back. Grote's got the ball. He's away from Bridge. He's over the top of Conlon. Got the ball to Laurie. They're 15 out. The ball has gone to ground. Picked up by Hunt. Hunter's tackled. Not held. Gets the ball inside for Taylor. Taylor back to Sterling. Ad-lib football. Order of the day for the Eels. And Sterling is tackled 11 metres out from the Balmain line. That's the 4th tackle. The one I just called was the 3rd. This is Sharp now. And Sharp is tackled 10 metres out. 5 tackles gone. Sterling's the playmaker. There he is with the ball. Now it's Kenny. Kenny holds it back. Goes himself an ankle-tapping, desperate tackle by Benny Elias. Saved what I thought would be a certain try. See it again. Kenny held it back, and it was a desperate attempt by Benny Elias. He got him by a bootlace, and that's all.
But what that set of 6 tackles by Parramatta did show us is the fact that the wet weather doesn't seem to worry them at all. There were some tackles there in that set of 6 where you would have hardly thought that there was a drop of water on this Sydney Cricket Ground pitch at all. They moved the ball around in magic fashion.
4th tackle now as Gale plays it. Elias goes out from dummy half, met by his opposite number 12, Mick Mosley. Now the kick will come off the boot of Scott Gale. The charge down attempt by Taylor. It came off Taylor, but Price is back there to take it for Parramatta on the halfway line.
And it's interesting to note that Taylor was the first man out of there on Chase. Taylor's playing in defence basically in the front line, and he'll make a lot of tackles in these conditions in that position, and Sterling's the man that's moved back to fullback.
Good tackle by Conlon on Kenny. This is Neil Hunt. He's always had the habit of going across the ground from dummy half and then a gigantic sidestep. But I've got to say, this year, I don't think I've seen it work for him more than once on the matches we've televised. It would seem that everybody has woken to it. Sterling weaving his way through like a four-wheel drive. Now it's back for Taylor, on to Kenny. Cronin's outside him. A little bit of a slip there by Kenny. And he's held by Schofield and Benny Elias on 5. Again, it's back for Taylor. Taylor puts the kick in. Down to Davidson. Davidson coming across on the 10-metre line. Off his knee. Now he takes the ball. It's a penalty. A penalty against Hunt for being inside the 5 and in front of the kicker. Well, the referee ruled there that Davidson did not play at the ball. And when the ball hits him on the knee, keep in mind that...
Well, he was way outside of the 5. No doubt about that. That was a play-on situation. Well,
maybe you're right, Bill, but I'm trying to explain what Kevin Roberts was ruling on. As Gale now puts the kick in, the interpretation applied to it by Kevin Roberts is the bottom line on this occasion. But here's Balmain with the ball, and Kane is tackled. Midway 22, halfway. Balmain's into the ground. They've withstood the early pressure. And that's so important for the young Tigers. So very important as we come down to the 10-minute mark gone first half. Hardwick met by the Parramatta, the forwards. 0-0 the score. The NEC big game semi-final. Conlon sweeping it across to Gary Jack. Back it goes for Scott Gale. Gale's to the halfway. Laurie is there with Mosley. Here's Roach. Low was Mosley, up the top was Ray Price. Elias to the blind for Gale. Gale gets the kick in, but it's gone into the centre of the park. And there to pick it up is Cronin. Knocked backwards, says the referee. Gross should go himself. It's a penalty for the markers, again not standing in line with the play the ball. And there's one of the most successful, if not the most successful captain that Sydney Rugby League Grand Finals has seen, Stephen Edge.
I'm quite surprised in the first 12 minutes of this match how good the handling from both sides has been. At this stage, there's only been one handling error from either side.
So now it's Peter Ford who plays it. And now it's sharp. Nothing flash, nothing fancy, particularly in your own territory. There's Jerd going up the middle, looking for a hole that sometimes presents itself. And now it's Ray Price. Price was hoping to get in between the defence and then find Peter Ford. Now it's Sterling. Sterling's kick straight down to Gary Jack. He comes outside the 22. He beats Taylor. Sterling's got him on the 32 line. Good kick and chase by Sterling. Now it's with Conlon. Conlon decides to stretch it out to Schofield. Schofield is met by Laurie, pulled down 33 metres out from the Balmain line. Played back to Conlon. Conlon goes himself. Ford is there with Laurie and Jerd. 15 metres, Balmain side of halfway. Elias to Roach. Roach hitting it up hard. Sharp around the legs with Sterling. Keep Sterling in mind. He's as a man who's at this stage been very much the fulcrum off which Parramatta has worked, and let me say that he could well be topping their tackle count at the moment. Jack now puts the kick in. It's going to bounce favourably for Paul Taylor on his own 22. Elias the tackler. Now it's with Groth. Groth comes to Gary Bridge. Passes, finds Brett Kenny. Ella's gone inside. Ella's coming up on the inside. Kenny is tackled. More rain coming down at the cricket ground as we speak. The umbrellas go up as we find Hunt coming across the ground. And again, he tries to step off that extravagant action, but again, they read it. And it's a penalty to Parramatta nevertheless. What a shame that rain has come today with all the sporting events on in Sydney. Here, the sports ground, the Union Grand Final, and a big day of racing with Kingston Town and Malcolm Johnston. Never mind. Neil Hunt plays it on the Balmain 22 line. Ray Price runs with it. A burrowing run of about 5 or 6 metres. The old warhorse already has decided that he couldn't watch Parramatta Stadium open without him. And Kenny goes across and finds Sharp. Sharp gets it out the back for Taylor. Taylor into the 22 zone. Oh, Price was hit by Conlon. Referee checked it, said all right, play on. Here's Sterling, back to Price, who stayed alive from playing the ball. And Price is tackled. About 15 metres out, there's trouble here for Balmain as Sterling puts the cross kick bomb in. But there's not a great deal of pressure as Schofield takes it. He's tackled by Peter Ford. It's all been Parramatta. Here's the cross kick bomb, as you can see. Hang on, Parramatta's come up with the ball. Oh, what a great pickup by Eric Growth. Steve Ella picked the ball up, spun it in one action, and Eric Growth has picked the ball up and scored. Well, here it is, Steve Ella inside for Growth, and Parramatta scores the first try of this semi-final. Let's see it again with Bill Anderson.
Parramatta are masters of turning defence into attack. Here we can see it was a drop ball by Balmain, scooped up by Kenny, back onto Ella. Ella looked inside. There was Eric Growth to finish it off.
Beautiful stuff. And Eric Growth picks up the try, which was scored in the M.A. Noble corner. It more than was against the run of play, as somebody indicated just now to me. In fact, I was looking back on that replay, looking for the pressure that wasn't applied by Parramatta, when all of a sudden Balmain had the ball in reality and were losing it. I guess that's a perfect example of the breeze here at the cricket ground. It's gusting out of the Randwick end. Parramatta running with it. Cronin 2 metres in. There's the angle. It's going wide of the uprights, across the face. And so the NEC big game semi-final sees Parramatta leading Balmain 4-0. Conlon restarts. Growth. Mosley. Roach and Kane tackle just inside the 22. The tacklers just inside the 22. Taylor now. Now Sterling. Ball going down inside the Balmain 22.
Good tactics by Parramatta. We can see that they weren't prepared to ruck the ball out early out of their quarter. They've kicked and chased, and with a good chase. And conversely, when Balmain had the ball, they tried to ruck it out, came up with a drop ball, and that's resulted in the 4 points to 0 lead that Parramatta now have.
Oh, here's David Brooks juggling the ball before being tackled by Kenny and Sharp. Elia swings it to the open side. Roach goes galloping off into the centre of the ground. Gary Bridges tackled. Was it Gary who dropped that vital ball?
It was.
So he needed to catch that ball cleanly and hang on. This is Marquito. Played back to Elias. He gets the kick in. That'll be let go, I would think. Yes, Sterling allows it to go 10 metres out from the Parramatta line. Again, you see replay of Benny Elias in action. And no urgency displayed at all by Peter Sterling. So Parramatta to feed the scrum close to their own line. It's in and out to Parramatta. Here's Taylor. Kenny has exploded into a hole. Outside 32. Chased by Gary Jack. Finds Steve Ella. Over the halfway goes Ella. But that's what you've got to try and combat when you're playing against the Eels. Here's Sterling, cuts out a player, finds Mosley, and Mosley is tackled 12 metres into Balmain's territory. It's gone to Sterling, away to Price. Price steps inside. Davidson's got him. Kevin Hardwick was low.
These fellows don't care what the conditions are like. They could play on top of the Pacific Ocean. Kenny and Ella, no matter what the conditions, they're prepared to move the ball around, to back up, and they just make breaks out of nothing.
Davidson and Price involved in the back play, and I'm sure the penalty will go against Ray Price. He decked Davidson with a right. I don't know what happened to provoke Price, but this was what Price did at the finish. A right cross, I think, is the right way to describe it, and Davidson went down. But the point is, the touch judges come in with Parramatta in possession, which indicates that the penalty's going to go to Balmain. There it is. Balmain get the penalty, and I can't believe that Ray Price would fall into that. Got the football, you've got the game in your hands. You don't let it out. Cap taken by Conlon, given to Bridge, onto Gale. Across for Marquito. And we're back into this familiar territory where they're going to be so dirty in a moment, even their own mothers won't recognise them. Penalty for a shepherd or an obstruction. And Parramatta will find the line on the members stand touch line. Here it was. He's a bit stiff to get caught, Benny. It goes on just about every 10 minutes of a football match. Mike Mosley takes it into the middle for one. You watch Parramatta in stages of the football match. They'll play it so close to the chest. Here's Taylor. David and Goliath. Steve Roach tackling Paul Taylor. Here's Jerd. (4-0) to Parramatta. Try to growth. Here's Ford. Now they've consumed 4 tackles, Parramatta. They've done nothing flash. Here's Sterling. And this is what they were working for. Just that chip in behind the 3/4. And Ella is there to tackle Davidson. That's all they were working for. Everybody knew exactly on what tackle Sterling would put on the chip over the top of the 3/4. And anything leading up to it was going to be no frills attached. Here's Billy Kane. Now David Brooks. Penalty. Again, he's got the markers. So of all the rules that Kevin Roberts has to use, that's the one that he's clamping down on. 3rd penalty of the match for markers not standing one behind the other. Scott Gale, his brother Brett told me that he thought he was more nervous than Scott before the match got underway. Very good footballers, both from the Holy Cross College. Their latter days, anyway. Marquito. Tackler Jerd. Laurie over the top. I'll get out a rundown on the top tacklers for you in a moment. Blokes like Laurie and Price, Hardwick, Brooks, Kane. The kick by Scott Gale is going the right way for him. And a scrum will go down just outside the Parramatta 22. Off the boot of that little fellow, Scott Gale. Sterling to the open side. Kenny comes inside him. Kenny again is into an opening. He's picked up Paul Taylor. Taylor's found Conlon for Balmain. He steps inside one, comes back to Kenny. But that's the second time Parramatta have won a scrum inside their own 22. And Kenny has opened them up. Here's Elias now, back to the quarter-way line. The first time in the match that Balmain has really been able to mount any pressure. Roach tackled, pass by Elias to Gale, to Bridge. He kicks into a vacant space, but it'll find touch. Frank Stanton, the Balmain coach. Laurie's made 10 tackles for Parramatta, Mosley 9, Makito 12, Kane 9. That's the way they read out at the moment. And here's a scrum one against the feed by Balmain. Danger for Parramatta. Gary Bridges tackled 8 metres away from the Parramatta line. On the first tackle, Gale pushes it to Conlon across to Schofield, and upcoming was Brett Kenny. A beautiful tackle as Schofield plays the ball. They're 15 metres from the line. It's Gale who holds it up and steps back, and he's tackled. That would be, I believe, 3 as Elias goes and gets it to Marquito. He's tackled 8 metres out on the 4th. Dummy half is Benny Elias. To the open side, he finds Roach, who flicks it out the back for Scott Gale. Across to Gary Schofield. There's a try coming for the Tigers. Yes! Gary Jack scores. Scoreboard corner. Gary Jack scores the try. Beautifully put together.
Well, Balmain had the numbers on the left-hand side, but that would never have happened had Steve Roach not been able to pop up that pass. Schofield read it well. He fired the pass immediately to Jack. I thought possibly Hunt could have come in to finish Jack off, but he didn't. He stayed out, and that resulted in the try.
It was that pass from Steve Roach that made all the difference and made the try possible. Gary Jack, the try scorer, that's the equaliser. 4 points all. Steve Roach, the man who would have to get the major credit for the try. Conlon to take this shot. There's no more valuable kicker in the game than Ross Conlon. He's on the right side of the ground for his style of kicking. 2 metres in from touch. On the 22, a chance to boot his team to the lead. Left the boot nicely. Touch judges like it. No, they don't. Just away, almost shaving the uprights. Balmain and Parramatta locked together. 4 points all. Taking this match today, as they have been pretty well right through the year, Yorkshire Television, and to our friends in the north of England, welcome to this Network 10 Sports Australia telecast of the league semi-final between Parramatta and Balmain. The loser to drop out, the winner to carry on to meet the loser of tomorrow between Canterbury and St George. Davidson tackled on the quarter-way line. Kane. Over the top, Mosley. Down below was Joe. And this man is Mike Makito. Hasn't been in the Balmain side permanently. He's played second fiddle to Paul Clark and second fiddle to Kerry Hensley. Oh, good run by Steve Roach. This big front row forward powering his way up the ground. Gale kicks, and oh, Eric Growth. You reckon he hasn't got glue on his fingers today? Magic take by Growth. See it again. And if I describe it as a Derek Randall catch, you people in the north of England would know what I'm talking about. Cronin cut down, bottled up by Conlon. And at this stage, let's take you to Graham Hughes with the roving microphone. He's with Wayne Pearce. How's his fingernails looking, Graham?
Well, I think he's a lot happier with that comeback after the Parramatta try.
Certainly, Graham. I think Steve Roach's little flick pass there caught the Parramatta defence napping, and Gary Jack showed what a great broken field runner he is, and there's no hurries.
They couldn't afford to let Parramatta put 2 in a row on the board.
No, they couldn't. The only thing that I'm a bit concerned about, just looking from here, is that they're letting Parramatta offload too many passes when there's 2 and 3 guys in the tackle.
There'll be a nice half-time scoreline, though. There's a good solid breeze behind the Eels.
Yeah, if we can contain them to this scoreline at half-time, you know, I think we're in with a real big chance.
We'll check the smile at half-time.
Thanks, Graham.
David Brooks is tackled now on the 32-metre line. Turned inside for Gale. Gale able to fire a ball away to Brooks. It's gone over now to Bridge. Bridge gets it onto Schofield. He tries to step through the middle of the ground, but he's tackled by Sterling. Dummy half Conlon picks up Marquito. And Sterling again makes the tackle with Mosley. And here's Roach, looking for work, hungry for work. The tiger in a zoo at feeding time was Roach today. A little kick, a beauty from Gale, covered up by Price. Back on the 22 line. So Taylor takes it out for a couple of metres, spins the ball back for Stephen Sharp, and Sharp takes it back to where Taylor was tackled. Second tackle on this set of 6 penalties, 4-4, scrums of 4-1 to Parramatta. But that's really nothing. They've had all the feeds. Balmain, their only scrum win, of course, was the one against the feed, and that adds up to all of the 4 that Parramatta have won, really. This is Cronin. He has to be bottled up, and Balmain are doing a perfect job of it. Now, Balmain apparently are calling for a replacement. What's going on, Graham?
Well, they're signalling to the dressing sheds now. They haven't really been able to raise anybody's attention. John Davidson, apparently, who's just picking up the ball now, has a torn hamstring. You won't see him move too freely.
Well, he sure didn't. Here's Gary Jack, tackled by Neil Hunt. Here's Conlon. Ball taken from him by Jerd, and Jerd's made a good run of about 15 metres. There's 10 minutes to go in the first half, and I would think nearly every ball. Oh, look at Roach picking up Stephen Sharp and dropping him on the ground. Typical of what Roach has been doing all day. Have a look at this. Now, Stephen Sharp is not a pygmy, let me tell you. He's quite a big lump of a lad, and Roach just picks him up and crash. Meantime, Parramatta desperately trying to make breaks out through the centres, and Cronin continues to be bottled up. Hunt tackled on 5. Sterling sets it up for the kick, and there it goes. Kenny's after it, so is Price. They're the 2 best chasers they've got. It's an awkward bounce. Oh, it came off Balmain and over the dead ball line. Line drop out to restart for the Golden Blacks again. This bounce, it could have done anything, this ball. Gardner kept his eyes firmly on it. 9 1/4 minutes of the first half to go. Line drop out as Steve Roach doubts the ruling from Kevin Roberts. I don't know why. No question it came off Gardner. Here's Gale's kick down to the 32. Sterling goes back to the 22. Tackled by Hardwick and Elias. Now it's with Taylor, cross to Peter Ford. Ford is tackled about 18 metres out from the Balmain line. They've opened the football field up now. And here's Kenny getting it into Laurie. And Laurie is tackled. They'd be about 16 metres out. That's the 3rd tackle for the Eels. Mosley to Sterling. Sterling to Kenny. Kenny puts on a spurt, but he's well covered there by Billy Kane. And that's the 4th tackle, 20 metres away from the Balmain line. Dummy half is Paul Taylor. He puts in a little kick. Price is chasing. So is Taylor. There's going to be a try. Oh, how easy. How easy for Paul Taylor. Well, Balmain. Where was Gary Jack, question 1? Where was the cover defence or sweeper number 2? But there was absolutely nobody at home other than the people sitting in the Bradman stand. Paul Taylor, an absolute stroke of genius. He read the play so magnificently and scores one of the best solo tries you'll see in sudden death rugby league.
Taylor realised that there was no one at home, and this shows you the value of a kicking game on a wet day. Either Price or Taylor could have scored. Taylor was the first wet man there, and down it went.
Well, Warwick Roberts, our statistician, points out to me something that I think is spot on. He maintains that Gary Jack was protecting the injured John Davidson at the time. Paul Taylor scores the try. He couldn't give Cronin an easier kick. Stephen Humphries comes on now to replace John Davidson. But it is now offered the thought that Davidson was being protected by Jack, and it may have opened up that big hole in behind the play. Here's the kick by Cronin straight between the uprights, and that's a try that Balmain didn't need at this time. It's 10-4, Parramatta leading now. There's Davidson leaving the field. They only really, Graham Hughes, had to hang on until half-time at 4-all, and it was going to be looking nice for them, the Tigers.
Well, it certainly was, Ray. I certainly think that Gary Jack, he was up in the front line. He was just in picture, actually, in front of Paul Taylor, who put the kick over. That was poor communication. Surely, if he was up in the front line, he should have spoken to either Kevin Hardwick or Scott Gale and said, hey, somebody get back here and cover.
Yeah. Well, now it's Stan Jurd going up on the blind side. 30 metres out from his own line. It's been a match where, let me say, you can't relax for a moment as a spectator, because the Eels have piled on two of their best attacking raids from inside their own 22. Anything could happen. He's played at that ball, Jack, so they're all onside, and Jack is able to get outside them. He's out to the 32. Kenny picks him up. He's made some tremendous tackles, Kenny. Jack plays the ball. It's across to Gale and now to Kane, and Kane is tackled midway 22 halfway. Balmain's into the paddock. And that's pretty much what it is today too, the hallowed turf of the Sydney Cricket Ground. Played there by David Brooks. Here's Stephen Roach leading by example. He's big and he's tough and he's playing very, very hungry at the moment. He plays it back to Benny Elias. To the blind side for Mike Marquito. He beat Jurd easily. He's held around the bootlaces but got it away to Elias. It's gone on to Bridge. Bridge stutters and gets it to Conlon. Conlon calls his winger Gartner inside. The ball is on the ground, picked up by Ella, and Ella has put it into the over the sideline. It'll be, I believe, a Balmain feed. 10-4 in favour of the Parramatta side. Fed by Gale, won by the Tigers. It's a cross now for Gartner, standing in at that familiar 5/8 position. 32 metres out on the first tackle. Schofield from dummy half, cut down by Taylor. That's the second tackle for the Tigers. There's the third on David Brooks. One up the top, one down below. Taylor made 3 in a row, put him down for 3. I don't know what they call that in rugby league terminology, but I know it gets a big rating. That was 4 for Taylor, and here comes 5. He wasn't able to secure it, but he made 5 in a row, Paul Taylor, and you don't see much of that in rugby league. Roach plays it. It's gone to Gale. Gale puts up the bomb. Pressure for Neil Hunt. And it's come down to Stephen Humphries and back to another Balmain player. They've got 6 more tackles. 6 more for the Tigers. Here they come. Stephen Roach spreading it to Conlon. Groth went off his wing. Schofield puts Gartner into an opening, and oh, he's in a touch. But the referee had ruled a forward pass. Referee Roberts had ruled a forward pass. The last one to Gartner, which I must say, it looked okay to me. In fact, it brought back memories of the Schofield try that wasn't a try last week. I'm talking about the pass.
But it might just be as well for Russell Gartner that it was called back, because I thought he had plenty of room to beat Brett Kenny back on the inside. He tried a little in and away to beat him on the outside and was forced over the sideline. In the end, it didn't matter.
3 1/4 minutes of the first half to go. A first half chock full of interest. 10-4 in favour of the Eels, and they get a penalty to relieve the pressure, and there's a back-chatting penalty again. It's a walking or an advancing of the mark, another 10. And for those of you who keep statistics, that is not to be counted as an extra penalty. We're told that in fact it is an advance of the previous mark already allocated by the referee. Not that that matters. Penalties not used as a tiebreaker, other than in, of course, our national Panasonics. Parramatta to near the halfway line, courtesy of Mike Mosley. They come to the blind side, and this man is Sterling, having an absolute blinder, revelling in the going, Sterling. He must have webbed feet the way he's playing. In fact, you've got to pay tribute to all of these players out there. The handling has been absolutely tremendous, and you would have expected now to have handling errors at an astronomical stage. There's only been 4 in the first half, 4 drop balls, and goodness gracious me, that's unbelievable. Out to Kenny, onto Ella. Ella is tackled, not held, still going is Steve Ella. He's held now 32 metres out. They may run the ball here rather than kick. It's with Kenny. Kenny puts the kick in. It's gone straight to Gary Jack, who's on his own 10-metre line. Beats Mosley. Sharp's got him. Passes dangerously inside to Gale. Gale tackled 25 metres out by Kenny. Now it's across to David Brooks. Swept across now through Benny Elias. Out to Gary Schofield. Taken by Ray Price. Gartner goes infield. Inside a couple. Now it's gone across to Mike Marquito. In it goes to Kevin Hardwick. Hardwick is tackled by Cronin and Laurie, but Balmain highlighted a Parramatta's defensive deficiency.
And we're being treated to some great football here at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Benny Elias to play it. 1 minute, just 1 minute to go before the break. Here's Ross Conlon spreading it to Gale, and the cut-out ball on Gary Jack went behind Stephen Humphries. A big occasion for him, Stephen, but the pass went well behind him, and a scrum will go down 12 metres on the Parramatta side of halfway. Mosley hurt for Parramatta. Whether, of course, Mike Mosley is injured or whether he's decided it's time for a blow remains unanswered. David Lydiard, the ill-fated David Lydiard, on the bench, or not on the bench, but on the sidelines. Let me say to you people in the north of England how tremendously proud we are to be beaming these pictures into you. And it's great to hear that the code over there is in a healthy condition. And to all the Aussie boys there by now, a big hello from everybody in Sydney. Another scrum win against the feed for Balmain. That's 2 in the first half. That's a danger sign for Parramatta as the ball goes infield for Schofield. Tackled by Brett Kenny, who, I'll tell you something, has really made some valuable tackles. Here's David Brooks over the top of Steve Ella. Pulled down by Ray Price and Michael Cronin. Played back now for Gary Bridge. Across to Gale. On to Conlon. Kane's got the ball now. Tackled again by Brett Kenny. Dear oh dear, he's made some tackles in this first half. Something like a dozen of them. As the ball is bombed, and up they go for it. And it's down to Paul Taylor. Well, what a take. Paul Taylor built the size of a jockey. Up above the pack. Have a look at this. Gary Jack pulled the trigger first. Taylor waited, and he came down with the ball. A great first half of football in conditions such as these. And if you didn't enjoy that, then, gee, you're hard to please. Parramatta 10, Balmain 4. Not quite to the game they play in heaven, but it won't be long before they are. Michael Cronin kicking off for the second half. Parramatta running into the breeze. A breeze that has been described as, by some as the element that'll take Balmain to victory. Played by Gale. This is Billy Kane. He's playing in jumper number 54. I didn't know they had that many on contract. There's Benny Elias now with the ball. That is Billy Kane, isn't it? Now it's Marquito. Fresh jumpers for the bulk of the players, but I take note that Ray Price opted not to swap the number 8. Here's the first kick from Balmain from the boot of Benny Elias, and Paul Taylor comes back, met by Kevin Hardwick on his own 22. Only trouble with a kicking game for Balmain, and I'm going to bounce this off Bill Anderson. You saw Parramatta twice from scrums inside their own 22 absolutely explode 50 metres down the ground. And it's all very well to kick and play it in your opponent's territory, but when you've got guys like Kenny and Ella and Sterling making holes like they did in the first half, then it only gives them more shooting practice.
The Parramatta are one of those sides that can score length of the field tries against you, but I've got to agree with the Balmain tactics. I don't think they've got much alternative. We saw what happened when they tried to ruck the ball out of their own quarter. They've got to revert to a kicking game, and I'd like to be able to give you some scientific reasons why one team or the other should win this game, but I can't. It's going to be the team that does the fundamentals best and whoever the bounce of the ball favours.
So the scrum was to go down inside the Balmain 22. I think a couple of Parramatta players suggested that the ball came off a Balmain player. But Roberts looked at his touch judge and got a negative response. Gale to feed, won by the Tigers. And he's having a big day in the scrums, Benny Elias. He's won 2 against the head. And that's equivalent to about 4 with it. At least. Here's Billy Kane playing it now. Now it's Roach. Some of these passes from dummy half to the first man, they're perilously close to being forward. On both sides, let me hasten to say that. Marquito cut down by Laurie underneath, Jerd up the top. Now it's back to Gale, and Gale's kick going straight to Peter Sterling. And calls on Gross to take it away. And Gross is met and tackled by Hardwick and Kane. Now it's Neil Hunt's turn to do a bit of work. The Parramatta funny man is Neil Hunt. When I say that, he's often called on to guest compere functions that they have, and he's a quick-witted fellow, nicknamed Guilty. You could put that name on plenty of us. Here's Sterling. Sterling! Gale, a nice tackle around the bootlaces. Elias up the top. Oh, that's a dangerous pass out the back from Sharp. Forward had to cover it up. And that's 5 tackles gone now. Sterling will probably drive this down the centre of the field. Here he is. The attempted charge down was on from Benny Elias. And it's an up and under. And it was Price who sped it out the back to Taylor. Taylor to Kenny. They've got the numbers. Now it's Steve Ella. Ella's going inside 32. Inside 22. Taken by Hunt. Hunt gets it away to Cronin. Cronin will score. That's a try. A miraculous try scored by the Parramatta machine. You would not believe that. You could not possibly believe it could happen in conditions like this. But on the last tackle, they put up a midfield bomb. I was about to applaud the charge down attempt by Benny Elias, and Ray Price takes the ball and he fires it out in rugby union fashion, and Billy Anderson takes up the story.
They are a great football team, there's no doubt about it, and here you can see why. Many teams would have let the ball bounce and hoped the other opposition came up with it, but Ray Price was confident enough to take the ball in. It went through a number of sets of hands through the Parramatta back line, and here we can see the great combination they've developed as the ball finally goes on to Cronin, who does the rest.
How close was Cronin to that touchline? This was it again on replay, but words can't describe it. Watch Cronin's elbow. It's a try. And Michael Cronin has kicked 1 from 2 and scored a try. And Parramatta have swollen that lead to 14-4. He's right on the touchline. Ray Price, as I said to you, he would not swap the jumper. And here's the angle for Cronin. If he kicks this, it'll be a mighty good kick. I like it. It's short. No, it's there. It's a goal. Just coming over the crossbar by a couple of inches. And Parramatta leading by 16-4 in the NEC big game semi-final over the Tigers. So Balmain restart. And a man who played in a grand final with success and who was a member of a side that scored a memorable try here at the cricket ground, Graham Hughes. You certainly must have thrilled at that try that Parramatta just put on.
Well, they are a great side, as Billy Anderson said. Full credit to Ray Price. He knew what he was doing. Nobody wanted to go for the ball. He leapt up, and as soon as he caught that ball, his mind was on crouching down, protecting the ball and getting it away. That's going to change the Balmain tactics now, Ray. I heard you mention before about their kicking tactics. In the back of their minds now is a huge doubt. Are we going to kick and give them too much ball? Because instead of just picking up the 1 try, now they're looking at a 12-point deficit.
Yeah, and Graham, the point being, and this is what I was trying to say, was that they are quite happy to throw the ball about and do anything at all from any part of the football field, and that makes them horribly dangerous to kick to.
Yeah, so their handling is sensational today. Balmain had really got to start searching to the wings. They've got to start throwing the ball about themselves. As I said, 1 try, well, they were still in the game, but I really believed at half-time that the next score might have decided the game, and I think we might be looking at an Eels victory now.
So it's Kane who plays at 10 metres his side of halfway. Gale spreads the ball, and it's been taken off Brooks, and it's picked up by Kenny. Kenny to Ella to Hunt, and Hunt is tackled. Now, I'm going to say I thought that should have been ruled as a knock-on by Parramatta, even so much as offside, to put it bluntly. The ball was stolen from a Balmain player to a Parramatta player who I thought was standing offside. And Parramatta should not be on this attacking set of 6 tackles. Here's Ray Price with the ball now. Well, the crowd is just over 25,000. Keep in mind it's been a wet, miserable day. And here's Peter Ford inside the 22. Here's Paul Taylor. Now it's back to Michael Mosley. Mosley away to Ford. Ford is tackled on the 4th tackle, 2 metres out from the Balmain line. It's gone back to Mosley. Conlon goes for the intercept, and it'll be a scrum, a Parramatta feed about 8 metres out from their own line. Well, Conlon took one heck of a risk there. Here he is. If he fails to do what he just did, it is dead set a 4-point deficit further for his team.
And bad news for Balmain is the fact that they're now 12 points behind, and when Parramatta are in this mood, you don't get back into the game. They just continue to score points on you.
So he's got the entire 3-quarter line for being inside the last line of forwards in the scrum. Sterling takes the tap, just dances for a couple. Price looks around for the first ball receiver, and Balmain lying all over Sterling at the moment. Roberts allowing Parramatta to try and mount some attack before blowing his whistle to give another penalty. Price is within a metre of the line, and this could be the last chapter of the Balmain story in '85 unfolding here. The pass was forward from Sterling to Taylor. Penalty for the Tigers. See it again. No risk in the world. It was deliberately forward, or intentionally forward there, from Sterling to Taylor. There's a despondent Frank Stanton. It's not over yet. The scoreboard might appear as though it's over for Balmain, but it's not. 16-4 in favour of the Eels. 3 tries to 1. Roach. He can't do any more than he's done. Gale. The kick. It'll find touch. Just outside the Parramatta 22 line. The Eels 16, the Tigers 4. Umbrellas again, man's most faithful servant. And it was going to be a scrum win against the feed. It's a penalty to Parramatta. I'll tell you what, the ball was behind Benny Elias's feet. He's got Balmain for collapsing. But John Mooney, the Parramatta coach, must be desperately concerned, although the scoreline, of course, would alleviate the concern. But Mosley is being outhooked. Now, whether it's Mosley head-to-head with Elias or whether it's the halfbacks or the props, I'm not sure. But he's got a scrum problem here at the moment. This is Growth. One of the 3 try scorers. Taylor 1, Cronin 1. Jack 1 for the Tigers. This is Mosley on the halfway line. Here's Sterling, Kenny, they run across, and it's a penalty. It's a penalty for the Shepherd. Eight metres into Parramatta's territory. You can see it again on this NEC replay. As Brett Kenny with the ball uses one of his own men as a Shepherd. And there's the kick by Scott Gale, finding it down on the Parramatta 22 line. 28 minutes to go. Parramatta leading by 12 points. Roach, the ball has been knocked on. So the scrum will go down 12 metres out from the Parramatta line. Roach with a worried look on his face, getting up saying, where the hell are you? I guess that's what he's saying to his so-called runners. They were non-existent. And again they've won a scrum against the head. Balmain. It's gone over to Gary Jack, on to Ross Conlon. Back in field comes Gary Schofield, and away from Ray Price, taken by Mosley and Ford. And Ford has hurt himself. He's hurt Ford. It's come away now to Bridge, and Bridge is tackled. Bridge to play the ball, 15 metres out. Schofield is held right in front of the uprights. That's the third tackle. Still Parramatta playing minus a man. It's come away to Marquito, over to Kevin Hardwick. He's still going. He's pulled down 2 metres out. That's tackle number 4. Played back now to Billy Kane. Out it goes to Gale. Gale to Bridge. Bridge to Schofield. There's the opening. He kicks ahead. It's there for Growth to clean up, and he does that. It'll be a line drop out to restart for Parramatta. Balmain mounting the pressure, and then Schofield, he was invited to run into a gap, and then he opted not to, and so he decided to grab a kick in behind the winger, but Growth was equal to the task. Peter Ford back on his feet, playing in his first major semi-final. When I say that, it's the first time he's seen a first-grade semi-final with the run-on team. This is David Brooks taking it back strongly. Balmain, they need a converted try to bring up everything, to bring up their confidence, bring up their faith. They can still do it. 16-4 says they can't, but somebody's forgotten to tell them because they're playing strong at the moment. Marquito's tackle. Laurie Lowe, sharp high. Benny Elias from dummy half. That's 5 tackles gone, and the dummy half is Marquito. Bridge will probably kick. Here's Bridge. He spreads it out to Gale. Gale, a long ball out to Conlon. Conlon to Jack. Jack's lost the ball, and it's Parramatta coming up with it. But the referee has ruled a knock on. So Jack lost the ball. Now, the referee has ruled a knock on here. I'm blowed if I know why he didn't play the advantage and let Parramatta play on. They came up with a clean ball. Here they are winning a scrum, Parramatta. And that's the first tackle. Kevin Hardwick breaking very quickly from his scrum. Ray Price now. Away from Hardwick and out to the 22. A strong run by Price. Struck for by Elias. He didn't get contact. This is Mosley. And talking of the north of England, we've got visitors here at the cricket ground today watching the match. None other than Tommy Bishop with Graham Hughes.
Tommy, these conditions would make you feel like at home?
Yes, good English conditions. It's been a very good game, and Parramatta are playing tremendously. I thought Balmain had the edge early with the forwards, but Parramatta, what a side they are. Price still playing brilliant.
What do you think, Balmain?
Well, I think the big thing is which they try to do just then is get this ball out to the flanks. Schofield and Gary Jack have never had any real running chances in the back line. They've had to do it on their own. And if Balmain are got to get back in this game, that's what they've got to do, because the 2 cracking players, very impressive, is Gary Jack. I think that's their only chance now, if they can get some good running chances for Jack and Schofield out wide.
Tommy, did you play at the cricket ground in these sort of conditions in the mud?
Yes, I remember quite a few times. We played Manly at one particular time, and Steve Rogers kicked a goal to get us a 9-8 or 9-7 win in that particular time. We played St George. And, you know, them days it was pretty heavy in the middle, which it is now. We tried to use the tactics to push them into the middle and then get it wide for the backs where it was a little bit dry, you know, and Balmain tried it then. But unfortunately, Balmain have not had a lot of chances, which you just said, with Schofield and Gary Jack. They could really do something if they got the chance.
You're back, I believe, for the grand final.
Yes, we go up to Brisbane to see the final there, and we back down for the big one. Looking forward to that.
Looking forward to seeing you on grand final day then.
Yes, my word, it'll be great.
Okay, Tommy.
Tommy Bishop, one of the game's great players. Here's the handling errors coming up. Balmain 8, Parramatta 5, and you wouldn't care if it was double that, really. You are watching, though, at least one of rugby league's most disciplined sides. And that's not detracting from Balmain. Here's Growth. Growth, still going. Finds Kenny. Kenny gets it to Cronin. Cronin to Ella. Ella's inside the 32. He picks up Hunt, and Hunt is tackled just outside the quarter-way line. Electric football. Back to Taylor. They use the blind. Cronin. Cronin is tackled. 15 metres out from the Balmain line. He'll play it back to Ray Price. Taylor calls the play. It's gone to Mosley. Mosley to Laurie, and Laurie is tackled about 13 metres away from the Balmain line. Balmain short on numbers on the blind. Here they come to the blind. It's with Neil Hunt. Turns it inside for Ray Price, and Price takes them on. He's tackled 11 metres out from the Balmain line. Mosley is the acting half. Sterling decides to chip. He'll score, Sterling. Yes, it's a try. It's a try adjacent to the uprights for the little fellow, Peter Sterling. Well, if anybody had any doubts about Parramatta throwing down the gauntlet to the three big guns in this semi-final play-out, then I think those doubts have been totally erased with some of their football here today. Billy Anderson.
Well, for the second time today, Parramatta were quick to seize upon an opportunity to kick the ball in goal from close range. The first time it was Paul Taylor. This time he's lookalike Peter Sterling.
So easy it was for Peter Sterling. Well, there he is, the Parramatta 7, Peter Sterling. The man whose name, I suppose, has been forgotten mostly because this year, as far as awards are concerned, his absence for the major part. Cronin picks up the extra 2, and that's the ball game. 22-4 in favour of Parramatta in the NEC big game semi-final. John Owens on the field for Billy Kane.
Well, there was some doubt as to who'd start this game, whether it would be John Owens or Billy Kane. Originally, Owens was programmed, and now he gets his opportunity to show us what he can do. But he's a good footballer, and Balmain won't lose anything by his admission into the side.
Well, I guess, and I know it's 3/4 of the way through the match, 20 minutes to go. One of the most disappointed fellows would be Wayne Pearce, looking at 22-4 against you, and that's a damn shame.
Well, Wayne's a great footballer, but I don't know that he'd have been the difference today. Parramatta have just run absolutely white hot, and it wouldn't have mattered who their opposition was. Under these conditions, they've played the sort of football that no other team can play.
Here's Sterling. Decides to get the kick in, and Stephen Humphries is back with it. Oh, he's knocked on the youngster. It's amazing how you get to know kids and young men such as Stephen is, and you ride every moment of the football match with him, and to see that happen to him, it's upsetting to say the least. Taking an age to get out of the scrum, and here's Cronin taking what they call the option. And here's Neil Hunt getting away from a couple of would-be tackles. See, that's the trouble. You've always got Kennys and Ellas running around Cronin, and you might move up fast and block them out, but suddenly you forget about old Mick, and he takes what they call the option and shoots into an opening and finds somebody up on his inside. Here's Price. Dummies, holds it back, still goes, but Roach is there to make the tackle. They're only about 15 metres out from the line, and they work on this blind. Here's Cronin flicking it inside for Laurie, a nice fend, and then he works his way out of another couple. Gets the pass inside for Sharp, and Sharp is, well, he's only a couple of blades of grass from that line. Dummy half is Mosley. Gets it out the back for Laurie. Laurie's going to score. No, he's not. He's a metre out from the line. Mark Laurie to play it on 5. Out it goes to Sterling. Now it's Kenny. Kenny scores. This semi-final is now turning into a massacre. Beautiful play by Sterling. Kenny Ella-magic, says the sign, but they left one very important part off it, in my opinion. A bloke called P. Sterling. Price away to Sterling, and Sterling just knew that the long ball was required, and Kenny just strolls over for the easiest of tries.
Parramatta took the option of running the ball on the 6 tackle rather than kicking it. Sterling threw a great ball into a gap. All Kenny had to do was catch it, put his head back and run over the line, and that he did.
A massacre might be the correct word, but certainly it's been a sparkling performance from these fellows. Converted by Cronin. Scoreline 28 points to 4 in favour of Parramatta over Balmain. Here's Growth outside the quarter-way line. Hunt. Ray Price. Growth gone without it. It'll be a scrum just outside the 22. .15 going on is who, Graham?
James Bell. Russell Gardner apparently has torn some ankle ligaments.
Well, they've had no luck with their wingmen today. They lost Davidson in the first half. And now Russ Gardner. Been a good year for Russell Gardner too. Balmain just outside the 22 line. Here's Roach. Jerd low, sharp up the top with Laurie. This is John Owens. Now Gale, Conlon inside for Gary Jack, but it's on the carpet. Mark Laurie has it. Sharp. Jerd. He's going to pinch Jerd here for running with the cocked elbow. I'll tell you what, if he's going to pinch Jerd for this, Kevin Roberts will have a fair dinkum field day with another prominent Sydney first grader. Look at Bridge appealing to the ref. No wonder. Jerd ran with the cocked elbow, the vertical forearm, if you can understand what I mean. Elbow closest to the ground, the hand held high. But if Roberts is going to pinch players for that, and I'm not knocking him for it, just let me tell you, he'll have an absolute picnic on another well-known first grader if he happens to get the match with that player involved in the next couple of weeks. Here's Brooks. Roach, Hardwick. Benny Elias, Scott Gale, Mike Makito, and Jack's put it down. Picked up by Neil Hunt, but he's ruled the pass was forward. 26 going on is Don Price. Stan Jerd comes from the field. Penalty to Balmain. Parramatta down in the scrum. Paul Clark in 22, is it, Graham? So Balmain now 13 minutes of the match remaining, down by 24 points, a hopeless assignment. But they pile on this attacking raid, and Marquito is tackled 5 metres out from the Parramatta line. Benny Elias, out it goes to Kevin Hardwick. Across to Bridge, back to Gale, now Conlon Jack. But the defence up quickly. 21 made the tackle forward. Mosley came in second. Gale, Brooks. 5 tackles gone for Balmain, and they've lost ground. Roach getting it away, and desperately Balmain tried to flick it out the back, and the referee has ruled the ball went forward. So another scrum is to go down.
22 on the field.
Chalmers is going on in 15 for Neil Hunt, and Paul Clark has gone on Graham for Mike Marquito. Is that right?
Yes, a couple of changes there. Paul Clark obviously might be a bit of a reward there, Ray. He's played first grade just about, I think, right through the entire premiership rounds.
Well, here's this scrummaging problem again, rearing its ugly head for Parramatta.
Come on, get up there, get up there.
Either that or Benny Elias, Scott Gale, and you'd have to say Benny and Scott, they're the major men involved in the Balmain scrum, because the props, apart from Steve Roach, of course, have been alternating all year between Clark, Hemsley and Marquito, and they've absolutely got the wood on Parramatta's, I would think, hooker, halfback, prop situation. It's always hard to pinpoint when there's a deficiency in that area, just who's at fault. Penalty to Parramatta. Anything to offer, Graham, on that point of view of mine regarding Parramatta's obvious problems with losing scrums against the or with the head and the feed?
No, Ray, because my belief in scrums these days is very much a lottery. Thanks.
Sharp tackle. A metre into Balmain's territory. Mosley. Price. Look at this blindside, Bill. 7 of them hitting a blindside about 20 metres wide.
Well, that's something that Parramatta work on. They take the ball to the centre of the field, and as soon as they can recognise that they've got you stacked back on that blind, they'll hit it back that way, and they've had a lot of success with it all year.
It's Gary Jack, cut down by Paul Taylor to Stephen Humphries, away from Chalmers, but tackled by Sharp. Incidentally, tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be covering the St George Canterbury major semi-final with a 2-hour coverage from 6 till 8. Yep, 2 hours of rugby league tomorrow night, Saints and Canterbury, 6 through 8. It'll be the entire match. And then the week later, 2.5 hours of rugby league. Here's Growth. Growth! Inside for Ella, inside for Ford. Oh, that Kenny, it's Kenny. Back it goes to Mosley, and Mosley's tackled 7 metres out from the line. Across now from Ella to Kenny. Kenny slides into an opening. He was looking for a runner. Nobody there. Taylor, the dummy half. Sterling with the ball. And then that's Ella, and Ella runs into the shoulder of Paul Clark. Ball to be played by Ella. Back to Ford. Now to Sterling. He gets a kick in, and Gale is able to take the ball. So Gale is cramped. 28-4. Little chip through by Sterling. In fact, I don't think you saw it on the replay, but it actually came off his knee. This is John Owens, just going a bit further with that extended coverage tomorrow night. 2 hours, St George and Canterbury, 2.5 hours. We'll be on the air for on final night. And then on grand final day, we'll open the cameras on the Sydney Cricket Ground at 10 a.m. with under-23s, reserves and first grade covered in full. And that that is one day that we are really looking forward to. A history-making grand final telecast. 20 cameras around the Sydney Cricket Ground. There's the man that, as I said earlier, must be very disappointed, Wayne Pearce, with the sunglasses at the back of that group. Now, who's got this football? Played by Bell. Over to Owens. Back to Brooks. Pulled down by Mosley and also by 26's Don Price. Now to Gale. Conlon. Whoops. Schofield. Pulled down by Peter Ford. He's done nothing wrong, Bill.
He's had a good game, Peter Ford. I thought he was a player that might have started with a few nerves, but he got a couple of touches of the ball early, made no mistakes, and with that confidence behind him, he's done a tremendous job. You know, he'd be hard to drop.
Clark. Gale. Jack. Gale. Brooks. Conlon. Elias. Bell. Schofield. Gary Jack puts it down. And it's going to be a scrum about 32 metres away from the Parramatta line. No joy for Balmain. (28-4). 5 tries against them. There's Kenny, Cronin, Ella. Squirts into an opening. Tackled 10 metres on his own side of the halfway. Dummy half is Chalmers. Sterling. Mosley. So we started with 13. And we're down to 3. This is Cronin. Trying to get an impossible ball away. And it's going to be a scrum just on the Balmain side of halfway. Reserve grade today went to Canberra. An historic victory for the Raiders. Congratulations to them. 23s to Parramatta. They came from, I believe, 10-0 down to win 18-10. There it is on the Diamond Vision. Schofield. Conlon's dropped it. It'll be another scrum. Try they might, but nothing is panning out the way they would like it. They led the premiership for a major part, Balmain. They won the National Panasonic Cup. For you people in England, that's our comparable competition to the Lancashire Cup, I think. They won that. Prize money of $125,000 went that night to them. They led and led and led. And they lost their skipper, Wayne Pearce, in tragic circumstances last weekend. But of course, you're watching the blue and gold team, Parramatta, 3 times premiers in the last 4 years, and they've played 4 in a row, going down 6-4 in the grand final last year to Canterbury. Parramatta, the team that played the first half of the season almost without Sterling, Kenny, Groth, Hunt. And here's Ella. 12 metres out from the line, and Taylor was the other. Laurie stepping and jinking, and he's put Peter Sterling very close to the line. Sterling plays it quickly. It's gone out to Brett Kenny. He puts in the kick, fielded by Benny Elias, and away goes little Benny. It's out to Scott Gale. Gale turns it inside. It was forward to Bell, and the referee agrees and is going to put a scrum down. It was this pass here. Timeout for injury. Gale again suffering from cramp. A smile for John Mooney. Of course, many of these players will be on show again on Thursday night next. when Channel 10 and the Daily Mirror present from the St George Leagues Club the Dally M Awards, a night when we honour the highest achievers in rugby league in 1985. It'll be telecast 9:30 Thursday night. Hardwick injured.
Just reminding you again, everyone, at the end of the game, anyone moving on with the Sydney Cricket Ground will be prosecuted for asking for cooperation. Thank you.
Taylor into his back line, holding off Hardwick with one arm, and tackled right in front of the uprights. He's 18 metres out from the line as they keep up this wrap, and it's Ray Price going across the ground, but is held by Kevin Hardwick, who's toiled his heart out. In fact, it was Gary Bridge, but Hardwick has certainly toiled tirelessly in this match today as Mosley is tackled 3 metres away from the line. From forward, it's gone through Sterling. This is Laurie, looks inside, finds Taylor. 6 more tackles. Apparently it was touched by a Balmain player. Played back to Don Price, given to Sterling, now to Kenny, now it's on to Sharp and gone to Growth, and Growth is just too big and too strong, and he goes in through the tackle of Gary Bridge to score Parramatta's 6th try of the match. Growth 2nd, Parramatta's 6th.
This is simple football, fundamental football, but it's effective. It was simply quick hands, catch and pass by Parramatta. They found the overlap. The ball got its way to Eric Growth, and this close to the line, he's just unstoppable.
Here it is again from another angle. Well, the sting has gone out of Balmain completely now, as one would expect, but it certainly hasn't gone from Parramatta as Growth picks up his 2nd.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you leaving from
25,500 here at the cricket ground to watch this semi-final between the Eels and the Tigers. And I guess that about 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 of them would love to have seen the Rugby Union Grand Final played at an adjacent ground here in Sydney. Promotional madness, call it what you like. And I guess over at the sports ground there would have been 4 or 5 would love to have been here. 1,000, I mean. Cronin's kick from the sideline, unsuccessful. 32 points to 4 is the score. Parramatta leading Balmain in the NEC big game semi-final. Closing minutes.
actually wandered over to the Sydney Sports Ground.
Shallow restart by Benny Elias. Mosley wakes to it, and Mosley to play the ball back to Stephen Sharp. This is Price, Don Price. Laurie.
Once again, everyone, we please ask you to keep off the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Price.
Will be prosecuted at the end of the game.
Through Sterling, long ball out for Taylor, the look-alike. And here's Growth getting a ball back to Taylor, and Taylor scampers down that flank. I'm not too sure where his coach John Mooney rates him on the scale of importance, but don't be surprised if he would put Taylor in his top 3, top 4. Good run by Ford. Laurie flicks it out the back. Sterling picks it up and centre field bombs it. Up they go. It's down to Brett Kenny. It came off a Balmain leg and back to another Balmain player. And the referee has heard the siren. There's a player injured. The Balmain player is injured. Oh, he's opened up his right eye badly. This was the last throw of the dice in the match. Kevin Hardwick got Ray Price's shin bone right across the eye, and he's coming off with the assistance of the trainer. But let's have a look at the scoreboard. In finality, it was 6 tries to Parramatta, 2 to Growth, Taylor, Cronin, Sterling, Kenny, 1 each. Cronin 4 goals. Gary Jack scored the lone try for the Tigers. Kenny made 19 tackles. Sterling made 12. And 32-4 in favour of Parramatta, the scoreline.